Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another edition of the Addicted to Social Media podcast. I'm Neil Weiser,
I'm Seth Goldstein.
and in the empty space next to us, which I don't know if you're going to see a box or not.
No, you don't see a box.
Unfortunately, Jody is not with us this week, not as usual again, because as you may recall from last week's episode, we found out during the episode that she was in a motorcycle accident. She's doing well; she's on the mend. She did have some substantial injuries though, but she'll be fine. Unfortunately, though, she can't join us because of all that. But we'll have her on hopefully next week.
Yep, sounds good. But the funny thing about next week is you won't have me because I will be off to Europe. So maybe I will bump into some people from A2SM over there. So
Yeah, you should definitely tweet to them or put out some notice. Maybe someone will show you where the sites are around. Where exactly are you heading?
I'm going to Barcelona for 2 days,
Nice.
and then we're going on a cruise from Barcelona, Monaco, and Nice and all that area down Italy, down Tuscany, Rome,
Hmm.
um, the Amalfi Coast, Sicily, and then over Palma de Mallorca, then back up to Marseille, and then we're going back to Barcelona. So
Wow.
11 days. So you will have two podcasts without me. I hear the cheers right now. Yay!
Yeah. So you're gonna be cruising for 11 days?
I'm cruising for 9,
Okay. All right.
and
That's
then
still it's a great cruise.
it's a good cruise.
You guys, I did a similar one for my honeymoon. You guys are gonna have a great time.
Yeah, we went on a small one to the Caribbean. That was it was okay, but this one should be a blast. We're gonna be constantly going. Not a lot of cruise time, so. All right,
Okay.
on to the show.
On to the show.
Apparently, people aren't cruising very much when it comes to the Google Power User list. Everyone knows Twitter had one of these lists before, and people were always like, "Well, why is he on there? Why is he on there?" Well,
What
Google,
was it? Are you referring? Oops, sorry. Are you referring to the Twitter lists or the Twitter verified accounts?
the Twitter lists. A lot of people are like, "Well, how do they get on there?" Because the minute you got
Hmm.
on that list, you got 50,000 followers. Um, and pretty much the power user list on Google Plus is getting the same kind of reception. Like, all right, so I found Madonna. Woo, I mean, oh, Madonna. It's not Madonna. It's Madonna. Period.
On Google?
On Google, so much for the
So her last name is period?
Apparently, for celebrities, that is allowed.
Interesting.
Go
Okay.
figure. I talked to Google about it. They're like, look, we want Madonna on here. That her name's Madonna. I mean,
I think it's legally. I think she does she have it? I know Cher had her name legally changed. I remember that
I
from
think
years and
Madonna is
years
actually.
ago.
I think Madonna is actually Madonna Krasowitz or something like that.
No, it's Ciccone or Ciccone or something. It's Italian.
Italian.
Kratzerwitz.
I don't know. All I know is she's no, but now she's president in Kabbalah. Sorry, so she wasn't born Jewish. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think about this? Are you in the Twitter suggested user list?
The Twitter one or the Google one?
Google one. Excuse me, Google one.
Suggested users, not to my knowledge.
No.
I haven't, I have to say I really enjoy Google Plus, but because it's not tied into, there's no API yet, and it's not tied into like TweetDeck or anything
Yeah.
yet. I just continually forget to use it because I'm just so used to posting things like with TweetDeck to all these other sites and different accounts.
I'm
So they got
surprised.
to open up that API. Although I'm not expecting TweetDeck to expand into Google Plus, which we've discussed in the past,
Yeah.
which will be a real shame. Which means that I'm probably going to have to wind up dumping TweetDeck and going with another tool because
Mm-hmm.
I want to be more involved on Google Plus. But we'll see what happens.
I'm actually very much involved in Google Plus. I pretty much ignore Facebook for the most part, and I'm on Twitter on my phone because I really don't really like the Google Plus app as much as I like the interface
Oh, the
online.
mobile app is atrocious.
Not so bad. It's not as bad as it is on iPhone. It's better on
It
Android.
it was fine the first 2 weeks
Yeah.
because it was the first 2 weeks. And then, because I use, that's where I access most of my social media from is my iPhone or my iPad, and it's like the mobile app on Google Plus. Uh, you, I can't share a post that
Oh,
I'm reading.
you can now
Oh, you can?
on
Since when?
Android. On Android.
Oh well, Android.
Oh, on Android. All right. Booyah. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyhow.
yeah.
Anyhow, but this might be the reason why they're struggling in Asia.
What? That there's no because of the mobile apps?
I don't know.
That
But
actually,
apparently, according to the next web,
Mhm.
Google is indeed struggling in Asia.
That's actually an interesting hypothesis because with the prevalence of mobile phones, mobile web surfing and everything, especially in various parts of Asia, people, that's their main access point. It's not the PC, it's not the notebook, it's the cell phone. So that makes a lot more sense considering it apparently works on the Android, but not anything else.
Wow, but the funny thing was, I was not trying to be that deep about it, but apparently I did. No, but actually, the thing is also, it's counter to that is that Android's very big in Asia as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of counteracts that hypothesis right there as well. So who really knows? But they are not growing as big in Asia as they are in the Western Hemisphere.
Interesting. I wonder if it's cultural because they're saying locally, domestically, domestic being, I guess, United States and Canada. There's been a lot of talk recently how Google Plus use has plateaued and is even potentially declining.
Good
What?
for me.
Yeah, well, interacting with a lot of power users, as do I. But really, what it is I think you've got the surge when it opened up. A lot of these people jumped on board, which is understandable. But
Mm-hmm.
then, as they started using it, or because the tools don't allow them to use it through the tools that they most commonly use, for example, as I said, through my mobile tools, people are stepping away. But I think that'll loop back up once they start adding new features. Once they, especially, I hear the API will be available in a couple. Unfortunately, it'll still be a couple of months away. But once they open up the API and add new features to some of their mobile apps and things like that, I think your C usage should go back up.
Yeah, definitely. I think with Google has finally done social right. I think that it's
Oh
only
yeah.
I think it's only going to get better. I don't think it's going to die. I think because if it dies, they're going to lose 20. There, 20 million people are going to be very ticked off at Google. I was actually on a hangout the other day. Slight side note with KMU. Is a TV is an NBC affiliate out in
Hmm.
Missouri.
Hmm.
They use Google Hangouts during the broadcast. And Sarah Hill, I'm giving her a shout out. Hi Sarah. She has the hangout, and it's really neat to see the broadcast and how she's so on the ball. She knows how to keep her eye on the director and on the producer. Yes, she
Hmm.
knows how to put the earpiece in when she knows when the breaks are and stuff like that. And she's actually going to do a whole show that's going to use Google Plus Hangouts as a way to have a co-hosts. Like
Really?
10 co-hosts, and she's going to pick them and whatnot. So I asked her if she would want to come on our show, and so we can interview and talk to her about how she's doing using Google Plus for her
Hmm.
network. So we'll have her on in a future show. I'm working on getting Scoble, who's at least I think 3 months out because he's so busy. But he said he wanted to be on the show as well. As did Jason Falls, who has a new book out, and Chris Brogan, who's going to have the Google Plus book out. So we have
Oh, great. Yeah.
I'm working on quite a bit of people coming out onto
Yeah,
our
it'll be
show
great. It'll be great to have a lot of these people back, as you may recall. A
We
lot
had
of them
Scoble.
have visited. Well, we had Broken too.
Brogan and Scoble, yeah, those two at
Yeah,
least, yeah.
yeah. So it'd be great to have them back.
Yeah, and I'm still debating whether or not we're going to do a vignettes with them, which you can check it out, A2SM official, which is I think at a2sm.org/YouTube, is our YouTube channel. I think we're going to put the interviews up there and have our regular podcast over here. So that way we can populate that. But by the way, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I would like to get it up so we can actually put these shows that are usually an hour long. I like to see them go up on the show over on YouTube as well, and not just Blip.tv. So anyhow, back onto
Okay.
Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And look, guys, I've not said moving on once until just now. So let's like to mention that. Pages that display the tweet button, there's a little tweet button thing,
Mm-hmm.
are seven times more likely to get more social mentions.
Mm-hmm.
Neil,
Well,
your thoughts?
yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense, obviously, simply because if the button is there, people are going to be
Yeah.
more likely to use it. One of these. I mean, stats like that are interesting, but they also make me think of uh, what was the one joke that a friend of mine told me? Something like 75% of kids who eat red candy have red tongues. It's like, well, kidding, they're eating red candy. You know what I'm saying? Put your tongue away,
I have a red tongue, not a pink
all
tongue.
right, you know what I'm saying. But so it's sort of a self-serving stat,
Yeah.
but it is interesting, and it does directly illustrate the importance of having these latest tools available to you if that's what you're interested in doing, having people tweet and plus one your and like and whatever, your various posts. If it's not important to you, then don't put it on there. But
Exactly.
you know,
And that's something we don't have the rundown right now. We're going to jump back to Google real fast. Apparently, these plus ones that everyone's plus oneing are going to have a direct effect on search ranking. in the future.
Yeah, well, we discussed that previously, didn't we?
Oh, did we? I mean, we did, but
I think a
I.
couple weeks ago. But yeah, but that makes perfect sense because your data, your it's the social proof. It's people approving of a given page, and
I think it's
obviously if a lot of
brilliant.
it is brilliant because it'll help the Google algorithms. The only thing is though, what you have to be be concerned about to a limited extent is just okay. The Google algorithm is designed to seek out pages that are popular through various metrics and means, and obviously the +1 is an important metric. But does that mean that something may be less relevant than something that doesn't get a +1? You
Yeah,
know?
but honestly, it's gonna be. I'm almost expecting with SEO mods they release. That's a SEO company. They release their search terms every year
Mm-hmm.
of what, and I fully expect it to be a very minor part of the algorithm.
Well, I think
But
I think it'll depend on how the adoption rate for things like
yeah,
Google Plus continue because I know the plus button had an incredibly rapid
adoption.
adoption rate. Do you remember what those latest numbers were?
I
How
don't
many
know. I don't
sites?
know. But
I
all I
think
know is that they
8 million.
they released it, and the next day they were everywhere. Like
Yeah,
I know the minute I saw it, I was like, Google button. Ooh, I'm gonna press the button.
yeah.
So
So it's an important thing, but I tell you what I would like to see is a tool that sort of like bring. I mean, I know there's there's one of those share this tools or whatever, but I don't like the way that those
too
set
many
up.
options.
What? Well, it's not that. It's just that it should be there should be an easier way for you to post a specific story with different comments, for example, to the different sites. So let's say, for
Mm.
example, I found a story that was interesting, and I want to post it to Twitter. I want to post it to my Facebook page, and I want to post it to Google Plus. Well, I could do the first two, like on TweetDeck, for example, but Twitter obviously limits me to 140 characters. Facebook
Mm-hmm.
is actually, I don't know. Is Facebook unlimited? The size of the post that you can put up
No,
there?
Facebook's like 400 characters, and I know with
I thought it was
TweetDeck,
like 1,000.
no, it's less than that. I've hit
Well,
it numerous times.
TweetDeck has Deckly,
Deckly, which I
but
love for some.
yeah, I love Deckly too. I wish there was broader adoption for that.
Yeah.
But then Google Plus, also has many hundreds or thousands of characters that you can type in. But it would be cool if when you type something, you could type an entry and it could crunch it down for you or suggest ways to shorten it so it'll fit into Twitter, for
Mm-hmm.
example. And so you can post something slightly different on each of those networks. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, maybe you can put that into your new business. Ooh.
Maybe I should.
Hey, I can help you develop it. We'll talk after the show.
I am working on a plugin. So anyway,
Hey, ooh, hint, hint.
oh, shouldn't have let the cat out of the bag. Meow.
Too late. Meow. If I was on the ball, I would have pulled up webcam max and had a cat run across the screen. But
Yeah, let's not do that.
that's not that. Actually, Twit's getting a little chaotic with their little transitions now. Now that they have the new TriCaster, all of a sudden in the middle of the show, you'll see things blowing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I actually never
it's kinda
watched
fun.
their video. I just listened to the podcast.
Oh, you're missing a lot with the video. The video is hilarious.
Yeah,
A
I
lot
heard.
more funny than us. But anyhow.
Okay, back to Twitter though.
Back to Twitter.
Mhm.
This is the show of tangents. Sorry. Twitter is also ramping up its ad plan again with ads that you haven't asked to see. Neil,
Mhm.
what is your opinion on getting stuff that you don't ask to see?
Yeah, I think it's pretty bad.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, because you're basically. I mean, look. Let's be honest. 99.9% of the stuff that floats through on Twitter, even from the people that you're following, is stuff that you really don't want to see anyway. But that's a different story altogether. But here, if you're not following a specific brand, this brand X or whatever. Let's say you hate brand X. Or you're a Coke drinker, not a Pepsi drinker, for example, Pepsi can flood your. If you mention Coke, Pepsi could see that and
Look at
flood
me. Look at
your
me.
account.
Yeah.
Yeah, with tweets and ads and stuff. I understand. Look, we've spoken about this many times in the past. I understand Twitter needs to make money. This is not the way. This is the very
Mhm.
shallow, unimaginative way to make money. If you want to know how Twitter could make money, what could you do? Well, you could probably go read my Twitter post about how Twitter could make billions in ad revenue with a slight redesign of their site.
How long ago was that?
A couple weeks ago. I know it's a shameless plug. I'm sorry, but it just if you're going to do something to generate revenue, I actually addressed this issue in that post.
Mhm.
It's just such a feeble thing that they're doing
Mhm.
that I really don't understand. I mean, look, I know they have to do something, but I don't want to keep on bitching and moaning about it quite so much. Just so you want to know, if you do want to know, rather, Twitter's new ad system revealed. It's on twittip.com. Posted it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it's still pretty high up, I think, on the homepage.
No comment
So
on that.
yeah.
But
These promoted tweets have a phenomenal response rate, don't they?
yeah, 22% responded.
Ooh.
There's a 22% respond to promoted tweets. So that leaves how many that aren't being responded to
Yeah,
tweets?
well, there's some additional statistics to that too. 25% in a survey done, and let me open up that back page. I closed it by accident. In a recent survey or study that was done, 25% of Twitter users say promoted tweets are relevant.
They might be relevant, but are
10%.
they wanted?
Well, there's a different
Yeah.
story. Only 10% of Twitter users find promoted tweets annoying, which that's a different stat, which I also question. But the thing is, though, it's like, okay, 25% of users say promoted tweets are relevant. Okay, when you put it in a headline, it almost sounds impressive until you think, well, 75% of users obviously have not found them to be relevant. So, I mean, come on, do the math here. It's like, if it's not relevant to 75% of your users, do you want to be bothering them with these types of things? The
Link
exact
bait.
same thing is going to happen has happened with online advertising. People just ignore it. I mean, as it is, people ignore a tremendous amount of the tweets that flow through the stream anyway, simply because they're looking for certain keywords that catch the eye, or they're not even looking at the text of the tweet itself. They're looking at the avatars on there to see if they're from people who they recognize that they're looking for tweets from, or if it's a hot girl or something.
Or they're not even looking at their stream. They're looking at their lists. So you can be followed by them, but not actually be in one of their lists, which I have to admit I do, because I follow so many people. So I kind of have to segment people.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting stat. I think it's kind of stupid to put out headlines like that. It should say...
It's link bait. It's link bait. That's what it is. They're trying to get links, trying to get clicks. But here's an interesting stat. 32% of all UK, United Kingdom adults now have a Twitter profile. That is an official report.
Who's it official by?
I think Media Bistro.
What makes it official?
Well,
Media Bistro?
I think Media Bistro did it. It was from alltwitter.com. Oh, we got Jimmy Buffett's calling, Neil.
I apologize for that. Pass that on. I don't even know who it's from.
Hey, it's Jimmy Buffett. You should probably pick it up.
Yeah. I told Jimmy not to call me during the podcast. He just, he doesn't want to listen.
Exactly. So here's some.
You put out a few 100 million albums, and people think that you'll just answer your phone.
Exactly. So here's a question for you, Neil. Are the arrests and terrorism charges for misleading Twitter posts too harsh? Recently there was some kids who are talking about some riots that were going to go down over in England, in London, and they never really came to fruition, and they're being charged with given 4 years in prison for those tweets.
Well, 4 years in prison.
4 years in prison.
I'm sorry. What did the tweet say?
Like, there's gonna be some hoopla in the down. I don't know. It was British slang, but hoopla in the down low. British people, please. People from the UK, please correct me on this. I'm not very fluent in the slang, but that there's gonna be some ruffians making a mess down in a section of London, and it turns out that it never happened, and these people were found and they were charged and sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Look. If you're stupid enough to make an instigating comment online, and there may be a gray area in there, I'm sure, depending upon how something is worded and what exactly the situation is going on. But if you're instigating a riot, if you're instigating if you're making terroristic threats or something like that, then yeah, you should be arrested. You should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which obviously changes from region to region or country to country, whatever. But is it too harsh? Who knows? I don't know enough of the details for that. It's one thing to say, whatever you were saying about the person saying there's going to be a hoedown somewhere.
Hoedown.
Hoedown. It's another thing to say, hey, let's all go downtown and blow up a building. They're two quite different things. And obviously saying there's a hoedown which turns maybe into a flash mob, okay, you might get in trouble for that.
Hoedown turned flash mob.
Yeah, maybe we got our show title.
Hoedown flash mob.
No. But if you, like I said, you're threatening somebody, and we've discussed this before as well. Yeah, you should be prosecuted. You're doing it in a public forum that could have results and could have unintended consequences, like maybe your arrest too. But that's a different story.
Exactly. But we want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Email us, editors at A2SM.com. You can call us at country code 1-478-A2SM-118 as well. We want to hear what you have to say. I would love to get a video comment from somebody so I can figure out how to make it play in the Hangout. So if you guys want to be the first one to be played in the Hangout, hopefully not disastrously, please feel free to call in and give us your opinion on this or any of the other shows.
You know, in a related story, the mayor of London recently, he opposed the social media ban.
Yeah.
Right? Or was he the one recommending a
No, he was against it. Parliament, the Prime Minister was for it. And
the Prime Minister,
and
right.
They went in times of crisis to turn off the communication channel, but it also turns off people's way of asking for help as well. So it's
Yeah.
And BART in San Francisco, BART turned off their Wi-Fi in their train terminals as well. I mean, and Anonymous, they had a protest there, and BART came under a huge fire from the U.S. government saying, "What the heck are you doing? Are you nuts?"
I mean, whoever made that decision it's just interesting that it happened in that particular city because it's probably one of the most social media savvy cities in the world.
Mm-hmm. That's what they're afraid of.
Well, but that's the whole point, is that for a city that such a vast number of the population work in technology, work for these companies, and use this technology for the rapid transit system, whoever made that decision clearly is just clueless.
The chief of police, because the board of directors, were mad at him. He made the decision on his own, according to my sources.
Well, how would the chief of police be able to implement that?
He pressed the off button.
There is no off button.
In the terminals and the tunnels, they have an off button.
Wait, what did he turn off?
He turned off the Wi-Fi signal in the terminals and in the tunnels, which is kind of funny because in Philadelphia, the subways, we don't have Wi-Fi at all. In New York City, you don't have Wi-Fi at all. So it's sort of but even in New York City, there's no Wi-Fi in the tunnels. So the fact that they're upset that the Wi-Fi is being turned off is purely based on the fact that they have it and it's being taken away. Versus New York people would love to have Wi-Fi in the tunnels, but they don't have it.
Well, that's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue is that he cut off people's method of communication.
I get what you're saying, but in most other subway tunnels, you're not going to have that communication as it is.
Well, it's interesting because I forget what country it is. I'm thinking it's either like Norway or
Sweden
or South Korea. It's one of those.
Norway
or South Korea. It's one of those countries. Anyway,
that's a big difference.
Well, it doesn't make a difference where they're from. The point is that one of them recently passed the law saying that internet access is a public right.
I think it was Norway.
Yeah, it may have been that, and or maybe Sweden. But
it sounds more Swedish.
This is part of the new world that we're moving into, where do people have the right to turn off signals just because they fear a few rotten apples? I mean, you've got hundreds of thousands, millions of people riding those type of rapid transit systems every day.
It could be dangerous.
And how many small percentage of them are doing that? And what they're also doing is they're cutting off people's ability to report things that are going on.
There's a lot. There's definitely major two sides to this story. And the thing is, God forbid someone has a heart attack, and they could have tweeted out or called out or any number of ways to get the person help. Now that person could have died. So I mean, there's pros and cons to both. There's no easy answer to it. But I mean, it's just it's just hard to say.
Well, what the answer needs to be is the ability to turn off individual users.
All right, this guy looks like he's tweeting too much. He's a bad guy. Let's turn him off. Like yeah, but the fact is, how would you be able to tell? And there's gonna be ways to not do that correctly and stuff.
There are all sorts of, and I'm not being a proponent of these types of technologies that are in development, but there's all sorts of technologies. People are flagged right and left online by organizations like the NSA, the CIA stuff, and I'm not talking about all this black helicopter stuff. I'm just talking about the reality of the situation.
It's called filters.
Well, it's more than just filters. I mean, in Europe, there's a system, and you just made me forget
Echelon.
what the name is. Echelon, that's
right.
That's
actually owned by the U.S., by the way.
What?
We own it. The Echelon's ours.
All right, so what? The point is that the system is designed to scour all forms of electronic communications, looking for keywords, looking for phrases. They're tracking the communications from people that are on various lists, and for people,
Yeah, it's pretty much the reason why you don't say the word B-O-M-B in an airport.
Well, yeah, kind of the similar thing. But the point is that if these people start posting things that may be determined by certain algorithms to be potential threats or something like that, then they could potentially throttle these people down, block those specific posts, or
Yeah,
even shut them off entirely instead of shutting off the entire system.
I agree. I agree. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I think only time will
And
tell.
I don't think it would be that complicated to do it. I mean, I think the pieces are all in place and the technology
Or
is there.
or it's not too far from being in place either. So,
Yeah,
let's move on to Facebook. There's
sure.
this yet another study. This is the episode of studies. Which that should be the show title. Episode of studies. Sounds really thrilling when people want to
Nah,
listen to that. Nah,
we'll figure something
play
better.
something else. I still like the Hoedown of flash mobs. The study is showing that if you auto post to Facebook, you decrease your likes and comments by 70%.
Hmm.
I
Now let me
really
ask
want to
you.
know how they get these exact percentages. Like, like why 70%? Like, why not? I just it's a very definitive kind of odd number to pull out, and it's
Yeah, and it's probably a lot of comparison of shopping of apples to oranges and stuff.
yeah.
But I would like to know their methodology behind that. But yeah, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues. I mean, when are people when are these things being posted? How are they being posted? I mean,
Hmm.
there's a lot of open questions. Obviously, I didn't read the whole report. I just kind of skimmed through it.
So it's a
But it
long
is
one.
right. But it does make sense though because the auto posting is generally um,
Yeah.
uh,
It's not good
what?
engage. It's not good engagement. It's not like you've
Well, it's
already
not
yeah.
engagement.
It's not
It's not
use.
engagement. It's
It's
broadcasting. There's a
broadcast.
difference.
Yeah. And the thing is with that also is when you think about it is you might put out good content, broadcast good content, but you're broadcasting this out even at like the right times of day. 12 noon, 6 p.m. at night, whatever. You're not there to respond to people responding to your tweets, to your likes, to your messages, whatever the hell they're called on Facebook. I mean, so yes,
Hmm.
there's a time and place for some automated tweets. Like if you're trying to target people in Asia
Oh
and
wait.
you're in the U.S., maybe do some auto post, schedule some posts out there to hit at those times, but it should not be your whole thing.
Oh wait a second. I actually just checked out um, the post as we were. I'm re-skimming it again, and I did miss something which was actually in the first paragraph.
Wow,
It's those late sentences in the first paragraphs that people, you read the
they
first two
buried the
sentences,
lead.
then you skip things over, like that. But it actually says the study says the difference is likely due to Facebook reducing the prominence of posts published by third-party APIs and Facebook collapsing updates from the same API
That's it.
um, from across the user's friends and like pages. So there you go. So basically, it's not an individual person's deciding that this is an automated post and I don't like it. It's Facebook itself doing things to those posts based on their source, which is reducing the ability for people for reducing their exposure, thus the ability for people to respond to them.
Yeah, I also think, but even like for that matter, on Twitter, I mean, there's not a lot of auto posting on Google Plus yet that'll come, but I do think that it's still, there are ways to kind of make it auto post and that's not spam auto post, and people can still usually tell if it sounds a little like.
But that's not the issue of the
Yeah,
story. So.
I'm just saying that's still an issue. Is that even though this is like using third party APIs,
Mm-hmm.
you should still keep an eye on maybe not doing something auto post in general because it defeats
Well,
the whole purpose of social media.
to a point, but think about this, for example. I actually I keep forgetting to do it, which is one of the reasons why they're not seen. But I actually have a lot of followers in China and
Mm-hmm.
Southeast Asia and especially Australia on Twitter, and they don't see a large majority of the things that I post because I'm posting them 12 hours removed from
EST,
their.
yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that I started doing at one point, which actually I think is the reason I have so many followers because it ballooned. I started when I would post something, I would also set it to post again 12 hours later.
That's right from the
And
Neil Weiser tip box.
yeah, and so that way people on the other side of the globe, um, would see what I'm tweeting. I just wasn't able to directly respond to them
Hmm.
until, roughly 12 hours after that or whatever
Yeah.
when I'm
So,
back
so I got a
online.
new segment for the show. Neil Weiser's tip of the week.
I
Nah.
think maybe we'll do a different show entirely for that.
Yeah, Neil Weiser's tips from the
Yeah.
Weiser. Anyhow, also, did you know that Facebook pages can be hijacked, or maybe they
Yes,
can't?
yes, I did. Actually, I haven't fully tested this out. This was actually something I discovered a while ago and forgotten about, and it's because I was adding admins to a Facebook page, and someone asked me, one of the original pages creators asked to be removed or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so long story short, what's going on is that which is the site? All Facebook, which is a Facebook obviously focused blog.
Really?
They said be very careful about giving anyone administrative privileges to your Facebook page. Sophos, that's the security company, pointed out that anyone you give admin rights to could delete the page's creator from the list of
Really?
administrators.
I didn't know they could.
Yeah.
I had a problem a little while back. You remember when the Middletown police officer was hit and killed on Route 1 a little while back?
Yeah.
I was like, my brother-in-law's a cop in Feasterville. My stepbrother's a DA, so I have law enforcement in my family. I did a Facebook page honoring him. We got a few thousand people in there, and I decided that look, this other guy's more involved in it. He's the admin now. I couldn't get myself. I couldn't delete the admin. None of us. I'm still an admin for that
Well,
page.
you can't delete yourself as an admin.
All right, but then I don't get this. Then you.
No. If say I set up a page on
Okay.
Facebook and then I add you as an admin, you potentially could go in and remove me as an admin on the page.
But he couldn't. I wanted him to. I don't know. Maybe it's a new feature. Go figure.
There's a possibility that could be a hole that opened up based on later changes to the platform that were not necessarily discussed. But it was something, like I said, that I had encountered previously. But
yeah.
sorry, it's something that I encountered previously, but never raised any issues about it for whatever reason. And then Sophos seems to have discovered. So apparently that hole still exists. So long story short, if you have a page that you admin and you have assigned other people admin privileges, you might want to double check and make sure that they're all nice and happy being on there, because maybe one day they might decide to remove you. So if you're going to fire them,
remove
them as an admin, make sure you do that first.
Before
you tell them,
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't do something that Carol Bartz might do.
Well, I went face. Yeah, Carol Bartz. If many people haven't noticed, is Carol Bartz is now no longer part of Google, not Google.
Yeah.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
So I knew as I said that, I knew I was thinking Yahoo, but I'm like, I'm gonna say Google. And sure enough, I said Google. Anyhow,
why would you say Google?
I don't know. I don't know. Anyhow, the point being is she's out finally. She took over.
Goodness.
Oh my! That woman had diarrhea of the mouth. She was not couth. Was it Jerry Yang? He wasn't the best. He was the founder of Yahoo. Yahoo.
Isn't it amazing how a company that was so unbelievably prominent in our lives for so long, we can't even remember the name of it?
Yeah, seriously. But anyhow, now they're talking about possibly changing the name completely and firing the board of directors. But
they're not going to change the name. That would be ridiculous.
But here's the thing: if you change the name of a popular search engine that's been around since the dawn of internet time, does that company still exist?
Well, but Yahoo's not even a real search engine. A real search engine is like Bing, is like Google. Yahoo is a directory, and they get their search results from somebody else. And when they first started this whole thing, when they were a search engine, they actually had armies of people actually scouring the web for websites, finding websites and putting them into their directory. So they never really they haven't been a true search engine for quite a long time.
At least a year. I think a year they finally gave it up.
Oh, it's been longer than that. But the thing is that what they have been for quite some time is really a media company, and this was something that evolved. I think it was started before Terry Semel took over from Jerry Yang. Terry Semel is the former co-CEO of Warner Brothers in Hollywood, and he started building what was based on his experience, 25 years as CEO of Warner Brothers, which was a media company, because that's what he knew. And so they have lots of services. Obviously, they have Yahoo Mail. They've got all sorts of other things, that they've acquired and built up. But the strategy behind that company has been just non-existent since probably before Carol Bartz came on board.
But here's what they tend to do. They tend to buy companies like Delicious and other neat little startups that they have no business buying. They have no idea how to do. It has nothing to do with them. And this does sound like another company that we're all really big fans of, like Google, does the same thing as well. But Google, for the most part, up until Larry Page came over, was doing something with all their acquisitions, and some of them were successful, like YouTube. Yahoo has a bad rap for really screwing up everything they buy. Flickr, great service. There's no monetization there because Yahoo does not know what to do. Yet they can't get rid of it because so many people rely on it.
Yeah, well, Flickr is a great service, but your issue about Larry Page was he's actually cleaning houses, not that he doesn't know what to do with anything, but yeah, what they should have done when they bought Delicious is they should have built the rest of the company's services around Delicious, because Delicious was, no pun intended, a delicious idea. I'm sorry, I had to throw that out.
And
there.
it's still out, by the way. Chad Hurley of YouTube fame, this is our roundabout back to Google. He's now just the chairman of YouTube, and now he owns his I forget his name of his new company. They bought Delicious.
Right. Well, they bought Delicious, and hopefully they'll relaunch it as the powerhouse that it once was. But it made so much sense when Yahoo bought Delicious. But yeah, they didn't integrate it into really anything else that they did. They just kind of bought it and let it sit there. And this is one of the things that some of these companies do. But anyway, the point is that yeah, I'm really glad that Carl Bartz is out. I
Ding
think
dong, the witch is dead.
Yeah, and Yahoo, I don't really use any of their services anymore and haven't in many years. But I always liked the company.
They have some neat properties.
Spot in my heart. What?
They have some neat properties. I mean, they have some really neat things.
They got some great products and stuff. But you need a leader with vision.
And there's no vision there.
Well, she did a good job over at Autodesk, where she was for a really long time.
Is that where she was? Yeah.
Yeah, when she was CEO over there, and she did a great job over there. I mean, they should have gotten rid of her at minimum a year ago, if not more. She was just doing she was just completely out of her league, I think, in Yahoo. So
exactly. All right, well, let's move on. I'm sorry I used that term, but there's a link in the show notes, and I'm not going to really discuss it, but there's an infographic that I thought was neat on the growth of social media. Take a look at it. It's in the show notes. And before we go to the picks of our week, we have one very interesting factoid. Checking in is the least popular smartphone activity. What a surprise. I know with Foursquare, I was very much into it for a while, and check in everywhere I went. I loved it. I was all about the game and all that stuff. Now what I do with Foursquare, I check in if it's a new place that I want to remember I've been there, or if it's at the gym to motivate myself. So say, I say, I have to be 6 more times. I'll be the mayor of the gym for a day because someone else is in competition. There's ways to use it. If I go to New York, I'll check in because that's somewhere I haven't been. And I want to share that with people. But I used to. I mean, I have my development as the A2SM tower, so I would check in there all the time. But I'm like, that makes no sense. So I mean, pretty much you have to get the deals that the companies put out there. Like if you check in so many times, you get X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's a chore, really.
Right. Well, the study was from Pew Research Center, so they, that there's some validity to this study. Maybe maybe not some of the previous studies we mentioned on the show, but they were looking at smartphone usage, such as sending and receiving text messages, of which 92% of people did. Same for taking a picture, sending photos, things like that. So when you get down to those. Using the geosocial services like Foursquare or Gowalla is down at 12%.
Gowalla I never got. Never worked
but
very
interestingly enough, getting location-based directions or recommendations was actually at 55%, which is a pretty healthy number. So really there's definitely a delineation there. People are using these location-based services for specific things. They just don't like necessarily to check in there.
Yeah, I mean, a neat thing to do would be for people to actually be able to auto check in, like say, when I'm in this area.
That would be the worst thing. That would be the worst thing.
I mean,
auto check-ins.
If you set up parameters around it, saying if I'm in New York City, I want to check in everywhere or something like that. You set it up. It's really it depends on what you think. I don't really know how to make it less of a chore. I guess Foursquare has done major revisions, at least to their Android client recently, so it has made it a lot easier to interact with the service. I know Gowalla, I didn't like Gowalla for the main reason that I could never get the gosh darn thing to check me in. I'm standing at the gym, and it says I'm down the street, and I can't check in down the street because I'm not down the street. It's like, what the heck?
Well, that could be a factor of what cell phone tower, for example, you might be.
But Foursquare had no problem, though, Neil. That's the thing. Foursquare had.
But that doesn't mean anything. Gowalla may not have the software that runs Gowalla may not be able to zero in on the proper cell phone tower, for example.
Yeah, who knows? I was not a big fan of Gowalla. I liked the badge every time you went to a different state. But
right. Well, I tell you, I think it's interesting because the whole check-in thing. Look, I'm a big fan of the theory behind location-based usage, and the reason I say that is because I think there's tremendous, and we talked about this the last episode. There's tremendous potential still behind all that. It just needs to find the right model, and the check-in isn't the right model. The check-in is the equivalent of I'm going to the bathroom tweets and posts.
Except pretty much.
Because when you're sitting there and I'm looking through my feed and I see all these people reporting, I'm at the bank, I'm at the grocery store,
It's the main stuff.
It's like, who cares? Unless I'm specifically interested in you and something that you're doing, I really don't care that you're checking into the doctor's office.
You know what's neat though, Neil, is these moving targets. Like if you check in, like Snowpocalypse was one that was moving target. So people from all over, it's kind of a community wrapped
what
around
do you mean,
that.
moving target?
On Foursquare, you can make it an event pretty much on there. So let's say that the giant snowstorm in the Northeast last winter, everyone was checking into the Snowpocalypse, and it said moving targets. Everyone was checking into it and sharing pictures of their area during the snowpocalypse. So it was neat to see that. I mean, it's great for events when you go to conferences. Hey, I'm over at Sell Me Biz Life, or hey, I'm at PodCamp Philly. By the way, Neil, you have to go to that with me. And so pretty much it's neat for conferences. It's sort of like a kind of like Plancast. Instead of telling people where you're going to be, it's telling people, hey, I'm at SMX, or I'm at South by Southwest, and I'm with these people. Oh, and then you can also then look at it and say, oh, these people are here, and go find them in that location. So there's some uses for it. It's just I don't think it's for everyday use. Like I'm at the Bagel Barrel. Like, oh, get me while you're out there. Can you give me some bagels and lox? Like,
well, you see, that type of interaction would be useful.
Yes, it's just how you use it. I think it's down to people have to figure out how to use it.
Well, that's where I was getting to when I was talking about the model behind these services, saying that, look, saying that I'm somewhere getting something like bagels, for example, okay? If I tweeted that and someone, my sister-in-law, for example, who's all over Facebook, could say to me, hey, make sure you pick up, a couple of wire chocolate chip or some lox or some, whatever. I mean, that's so in that sort of context, it would be useful. But just for the sake of saying, I am here, I am there.
It gets dull.
It was dull the first time I saw it.
Exactly. But I think there's some uses for it anyhow. But so Neil, let's go on the picks of the week.
Let's do it.
So Neil, what's this about Facebook?
Yeah, well, as you know, we are really big fans of privacy online.
Really? Especially this guy right here.
Yeah, well, look, it's important that when you go online that you be able to protect your identity, and interestingly enough, Google Plus does not necessarily agree with that, but that's a different story. Let's not segue. So, long story short, the official Facebook app for the iPhone has not been the most feature-rich experience,
to say the least.
Let's put it that way. But Facebook, which has just released a series of changes and improvements to their platform, many of which I actually applaud and think it's great that they're doing. I just wish they had done it voluntarily. I think they were being reactionary to Google Plus. But they've put out a major update to their Facebook for iPhone app. It now lets users do things like tag friends and places in posts. Share external links from the web view. It also makes it easier to control who can see what posts, which was not possible before. And basically what they're doing is that they're enhancing, they're matching some of those new controls that are now available on Facebook.com. So I think that's a really good move that they went ahead and did it to the mobile app. It's something that I actually didn't expect them to do.
Yeah.
I have not had an opportunity to play with it.
We'll get to it.
I'm trying to speak. If you'd stop interrupting. Where I was, I for some reason wasn't able to download it over the Labor Day weekend, but I'll try it a little bit later. But it's cool, and I applaud them especially for putting in some of these privacy features into the mobile app. I think it's something that was much needed and is very welcome. So kudos to Facebook. I can't believe I said that, but kudos to Facebook for this change, and hopefully they'll continue doing things like this in the future.
Awesome. So my pick of the week, I actually have two. I have one that's social media related, and I have one that's just drool worthy. I'll go with the drool worthy one first. Wacom, the same people that are the people who make those drawing tablets that you draw on the tablet part of things, and then it draws up on the screen for graphic designers, now has something called the Wacom Inkling. You gotta love that name. Essentially, what it does is this little gadget, a gizmo, that goes on top of this notepad. I'm not sure if it's a special notepad or not. You clip it on and you use a special pen that you actually draw on paper. But as you're drawing, it shows up on the screen, which is going to be great for me because I can draw on the tablet and not see where I'm drawing and then look up on the screen and draw. My brain does not work that way, so it doesn't work in a lot of ways. But that's one that doesn't work. But it looks neat. It's I think 100 and something. It might be 200 for all I know. I have to look at the link again. But check it out. It's coming out soon. That's the drool-worthy pick of the week. And then finally, there's also.
So,
you go ahead.
Wait. I have a question about it.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused about how it works. I mean, I understand that it's capturing coordinates and sending that in, and then it's
drawing it. Yeah.
Yeah, connecting the dots from one coordinate to the next. But what was it about clipping on something you said?
Apparently, I think it clips onto a pad. At least that's what they're showing in the video. It clips onto a pad, and then it records what you're drawing on, and it looks like it's a regular old pad.
Is it a regular pen?
No, I think it's the pen that goes with the Wacom.
But the pen writes.
The pen actually like you actually see ink on paper. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's right. It sounds a little bit like that. What was the name of that? Live Scribe?
Yeah, something like that. Yes. They recorded the audio and yeah.
Yeah, but that one also did have a feature, if I remember correctly, maybe a later version did, had a feature where if you were drawing or making diagrams or something, it would translate that as well to your PC. But this actually specifically makes them into vector
graphics,
files.
which is awesome because I would love to be able to print something out. Like I'm doing something for Neil's wife, and he wants a specific banner. I can't do that with a mouse, and I can't do that on a Wacom tablet. I tried both. It'd be great if I could print that out, like his design that he wants, and trace it on paper, because I can draw a lot straighter with my finger, my hands on paper, and just press a button and automatically it's vectored. So I could redo logos this way even.
Yeah, actually, it's a really. You know what? I'm gonna look into this. How much is it?
I don't know. It's,
it'll be up $200.
It's a little bit expensive, but maybe Amazon will have a good price. But
okay, maybe I won't get it.
Yeah, and wait till it comes down, or maybe we'll buy it for A2SM as a review unit. We'll see.
Well, I have a specific project that would be very useful, just for the exact same reason that I was going to get a tablet for it, and because part of the project requires me to actually do a certain amount of tracing on pre-existing images for this project, but the tablet does not give, at least the ones that I've played with so far, 3 or 4 of them. I'm sorry, 2 or 3 of them, not 3 or 4. Yeah, they wasn't that good. I wasn't getting the find, and I don't know if it was my software or something, but something like this would allow me to regardless of source material, would allow me to at least make those initial sketches.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's awesome.
On top of the surface. I mean, yeah, that's really cool. So we'll have to wait.
Yeah. And now my social media pick is, everyone knows about this site called Clout, which is KLOUT.
Not everyone might know about it.
It's kind of a way to see what your clout is on social media. Now, but Google Plus doesn't have an API yet, so some crafty people came up with Plus Clout, and I'm not quite sure how it works. I think it's using the Google overall API to get in there, and it's pulling the information in and giving you a number for how important you are. I don't know if it's worth its weight in gold, but it's interesting.
Well,
and that's at plusclout.com.
You're right. So wait a second. So let's do a quick little experiment. I'm out there. I'm inserting my Google ID, which is the name, not the the ID number in the Google Plus URL. That real long string of numbers, not your actual name.
Yes.
And it is now investigating my clout, which will probably be. Oh, this is really interesting.
What?
Well, because I just did it, and it actually pulled up as my bio. I'm gonna have to look into this. The bio that I had with my previous company that I left a few weeks ago, but subsequently changed. It's pulling in that old bio.
Yes, it might be aggregating stuff from behind. I don't know.
Yeah, but why would that? I deleted that information from my Google profile.
Yeah, and all I know is I was originally in 95% on here, and now I'm down to 75, which makes more sense. So I think they're tweaking the algorithm. At some point, they're probably going to get a little bit better. I mean, I remember I was 95. I was above Scobel, and there's no way I was above Scobel. So.
Well, it's interesting, though, because as I'm looking at the homepage, it actually says Mark Zuckerberg as a +0.
Well, yeah, maybe it's a joke.
But he's one of the most followed people.
But he's not he's not using it for anything. You know,
Oh, he is? Okay, because I don't actually follow him at all. But
I follow him just because I think it's hilarious. And I like to laugh at it.
you know what? I'm gonna have to check into this though, because this is interesting that it's pulling a piece of outdated and I thought deleted information from here. So I'm wondering where it's actually pulling it from.
It could be a screen scraper, and it's not updating constantly.
I think it might be pulling it from my actual old my original Google profile.
But that should be wiped
Might
out.
still be out
I don't
there.
know.
Yeah,
Well, you'll
I'll
look
have to
into that after the show. But we want to hear from you guys. Get in touch with us. Once again, call us at +1 478 A2SM 118. That's awesome. +1 478 227 6118. We want to hear from you guys. Love some voicemails. We'd love to try and get them working on the Hangouts somehow and figure out how to do that. You can also email us at editors@a2sm.com. You can tweet us at A2SM. It's A, the number 2, SM for all those A2SM things I'm saying about A2SM. You can find us now. We're now on YouTube. You can even find us via a2sm.org/YouTube or find our channel at A2SM Official on YouTube. We're also on Foursquare. For the sake of being on Foursquare, we're at a2sm.org/Foursquare. Neil, where can we find Wise Neil?
Oh, well, you can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet at Neil Weiser, NEALWISER, on Twitter and I'm sorry, Facebook and Google Plus.
Google Plus, you're not that.
And all that other fun
Well, you
stuff.
are, sort of.
No, at Google Plus, I'm 10907953052119851751751.
And if you didn't catch that, he's also a2sm.org/Neil, NEAL. He's not NEIL, he's NEAL. So you can find me at Seth Goldstein on Twitter. You can find my blog, SethGoldstein.net. You can find me on Google Plus by going to a2sm.org/Seth, SETH. You can find my company website at goldsteinmedia.com. You can also get to my Google profile by going to SethGoldstein.me as well. And you can find the lovely, beautiful, amazing Jody, who's recuperating and will hopefully be back on next week. She's at Sunswept, SUNSWEPT on Twitter. You can also find her at a2sm.org/Jody, JODY, on Google Plus, and you can always find her everywhere else on the web as Jody Raines. That's JODYRAINES, and you can find her blog at webmarcom.net is her site, and webmarcom.net/blog is her blog, where she is a prolific blogger. So, and she writes a lot of good content. And apparently, we were focusing on you the whole time I was saying that. So, smile. I'm still getting used to, pardon me, I'm still getting used to the switching of cameras. So.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I do want to make one quick announcement, though, before we sign off. As Seth mentioned, in next week's episode and the episode after that, Seth will be unavailable. I'm not sure of Jody's availability, and while I'm sure you would just love to hear me talk about whatever I want to talk about without any other usage or anything, interruptions or anything like that, I actually want to throw this out there to our listeners. We have experimented recently on Google Plus with some of our listeners having them on as guests. So we have a slot or two. Sorry, let me qualify this. We potentially may have a slot or two for guests to come on and co-host an episode with me over the next 2 weeks. The only reason why I'm saying potential is because, as if you're a listener and you may know, I have frequent computer problems, which hopefully will go away soon because I'm getting a new computer. But if I can get everything up and running and it actually works, then let me know if you are interested. Best way to reach me really would just be to tweet me at Neil Weiser, NEALWISER, or through one of the various email addresses.
A2SM.org/NEAL would be more apropos since this is a Google Plus Hangout.
Yes, okay, that'll work too. But I just want to make sure it's a channel that I'm.
This will make you check it more often.
I don't. Yeah, I guess maybe I should. But anyway, let me know if you're interested, and we will try to coordinate and see if we can get this program up. And
exactly, and then hopefully Neil's computer can survive the editing process as well. I'm really scared about that, but we'll figure that out. All right, Neil, take us out, buddy.
And this has been the Addicted to Social Media podcast, minus temporarily. We hope Jody Raines. She'll be back real soon. We miss you, Jody. Hopefully you're healing and recuperating comfortably.
Take care, guys. Be good. Have fun on social media and be safe. Bye-bye.